Go then to all peoples everywhere, and make them my disciples.
These inspiring words of the gospel were the core vision of the Xaverian Brothers founder Theodore James Ryken. They resonate even louder and stronger 150 years later. Through faith, perseverance, and the continuing call to fall in love with the service of God, the Xaverian Brothers have grown into a community of religious laymen serving on 4 continents. To accomplish their mission of evangelization, the Xaverian Brothers continue in the same way that Theodore James Ryken had intended, by marching on in faith.
Broeders, wij zijn in Louisville aangekomen.
It was a hot, steamy day in 1854 when 6 foreign Xaverian brothers, led by their founder, Theodore James Ryken, landed on the dock in Louisville, Kentucky. Their mission was to create a community of religious laymen for evangelization throughout the world, but especially the American mission. Louisville's Bishop Martin Spalding had invited the brothers to America to use their teaching skills for Louisville's large Irish and German populations. With no escort, no money, no provisions, and little grasp of the English language, they marched on in faith, knowing that God would provide. And God did. A woman selling produce took pity on them, providing them with their first meal in Kentucky, a large watermelon. The Xaverian brothers' early years were plagued by financial setbacks, violent anti-Catholic bigotry, and internal strife and disagreements with the bishop over the stipend the brothers would be paid. Many times, the entire venture was near collapse. Within 4 years, the founder had decided to withdraw the brothers from Louisville, but only had enough money to transport 4 of the 6 back to Bruges. The remaining 2 pioneer brothers, Francis Xavier Dondorf and Stephen Summers, were determined to march on in faith. Through their faithfulness, the mission soon took hold and began to grow. Within 10 years, there were 53 Xaverian brothers teaching in 11 grade schools in Louisville and at the new St. Xavier Institute, the first Xaverian secondary school in America. Marching on in faith, the brothers were then invited to Baltimore, where Martin Spalding had become Archbishop. There, in 1868, the brothers founded St. Mary's Industrial School, which became a highly regarded protective institution for orphaned and delinquent boys. Perhaps its best-known graduate, who was deemed incorrigible, was George Herman Babe Ruth. During the Babe's illustrious career, he often found his way back to St. Mary's when in need of spiritual guidance from his mentors, Brother Matthias and Brother Herman. By the beginning of the new century, the brothers were serving in schools in Kentucky, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, California, and Connecticut. But even as the brothers now marched on in faith into this new century, they recognized that times and needs were changing. In 1907, Brother Isidore, the 3rd American Provincial, made his highest priority the professional development of the brothers. Despite limited finances, he insisted that more brothers complete their formal education before teaching, and the opening of the Xaverian College in Silver Spring, Maryland in 1931 was the fulfillment of his dream. From that point forward, most Xaverian brothers in the U.S. completed their undergraduate degrees at Catholic University and other Washington colleges before teaching, and numerous brothers completed advanced degrees. The mid-20th century marked another shift in Xaverian educational ministries. As the Catholic population became more established, their educational needs developed. To meet these needs, the work of the brothers shifted from elementary schools and smaller diocesan high schools to larger secondary schools owned and operated by the brothers. And as the community became more established and secure in the United States, the brothers once again marched on in faith to undertake new ventures in evangelization with schools in East Africa and Latin America. With the changes in the church, religious life, and Catholic education after Vatican Council II, the brothers were again challenged. Faced with declining numbers and school consolidations, they needed to find new ways to continue their ministry of Catholic education, while also reaching out to those most in need, both in the U.S. and overseas. Despite the tensions and radical changes of these decades, the brothers marched on in faith. And today, at the beginning of the 21st century, U.S. Xaverians continue the mission of evangelization in multiple forms. Through their educational institutions, the brothers have taught and mentored hundreds of thousands of young men and women, preparing them to serve their church, country, and world as good parents, trusted employees, and leaders in many fields. More importantly, they have tried to help each student discover his or her own uniqueness in life and find a place in a complex and often tumultuous world. The brothers today seek new and innovative ways to help other laypersons to fall in love with the service of God and continue the Xaverian mission in Catholic education. Training and guiding board members, administrators, faculty, staff, and students in the Xaverian tradition of Catholic education and Christian formation is the goal of the network of Xaverian Brothers-sponsored schools. And true to their founders' missionary spirit and vision, the brothers continue to expand their missionary efforts in Kenya, Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Haiti, Bolivia, and other parts of the developing world, as well as impoverished areas of the U.S. Today, even as numbers decrease and ages increase among the brothers in the U.S. and Europe, the congregation has experienced dramatic growth in parts of Africa, where almost 30% of Xaverian brothers now live and minister. With God's continued providence and in partnership with committed lay collaborators, the Xaverian brothers continue to march on in faith in both the U.S. and overseas, knowing, as Theodore James Ryken told them, that God will provide. Whatever their numbers or ages, the brothers continue to respond to God's call and help others to fall in love with the service of God.